All right, we've got, well, we don't have me. Well, here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to DG360. I'm really professional, I swear. Right here, one of my friends, Attira, who is a content creator, and I think you guys should go subscribe to him. Very in-depth, very serious military man. I don't know which branch he served in. I want to say Army, but it might have been the Marines. Could be wrong on both. Don't kill me. Anyway, Attira is a gentleman and a scholar, and I really value his opinions on basically the vehicles that are being designed for Star Citizen. He has got very, very intelligent opinions based upon his own experiences, and I think his content's pretty cool. So I want to hear his talk about the Tumbril Storm, because for me, I personally am very excited about the Tumbril Storm. I like the design of it. I like it. I think it's a pretty cool looking mini tank, and it reminds me of Thundercats for some reason. I was a big Thundercats fan. So let's see. Let's see. That's what I'm saying about the aesthetics. Okay. Let's see what Attira has to say. No, he was not in Space Force Limitless. How much should we budget to that? Oh, it was always Chitaro for me.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Attira, and this is A Soldier's Opinion. This is the video series where I apply my 21 years of military experience to evaluate the vehicles
Give me a break, man. Thundercats.
And activities within Star Citizen.
Tell me that ain't Thundercats, man. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. I gotta bask in that Thundercats theme right now. Give me a second here. God bless it. God bless it. It's gonna get probably copyrighted, but I just whoa, damn. Lion-O's getting a little too loud up in that. Jesus, work on your sound. There we go. Yeah. Woo!
Thundercats! Ho!
So sexual. So sexual. Snarf. Yeah! Look at this thing. Look at that. Thundercats are loose. Yeah!
Today we're going to take a look at
Yeah!
very important distance concept.
Yeah!
More effectively by
Woo! Totally, man. This talk is total Thundercats.
I want to talk about
Tumbril! You make the best talks in the world! Storm!
in general, a light
Storming it!
much lighter battle tank, smaller in all the very in other words, they also typically have a much
Sorry, I
smaller...
couldn't hear anything Attira was saying. Attira, I completely apologize. I went off on a tangent. Okay? It happens here on DG360. It's why I have so many views.
logistical
Let's
footprint
rewind a little bit.
Storm.
Let's just rewind a little bit.
This-
Let's calm down.
Welcome
Let's
back
calm
to
down.
the channel. I'm Attira, and
Okay,
this
Attira.
is A Soldier's Opinion.
All right,
This is
we're
the video
serious now.
series where I apply my 21 years of military experience to evaluate the vehicles and mechanics for military professions and activities within Star Citizen. Today we're going to take a look at the Tumbril Storm, CIG's newest entry for tanks. Now, very important, this is a concept sale, which means you are
Yeah.
effectively buying a picture right now.
Nothing.
You're buying an idea.
You're buying an
We
idea.
don't know how it will
Yes.
perform in game, and we don't know when it will release.
Right.
Now, before we jump into the Storm, I want to talk about what a light tank is, because the Storm is supposed to be a light tank.
Okay.
Now, we can certainly argue the finer points on this.
I personally
but
love
in general,
it. I
a
love
light
it.
tank
I'm a
is
minority.
much
I love this
lighter
design.
than a main battle tank, smaller in all dimensions, and carries a single-shot main gun. In other words, a cannon main gun. They also typically have a much smaller logistical footprint than a main battle tank. But why is this important? Because light
But it
tanks
looks so
exist
fucking cool,
to
Wooks.
be deployed rapidly into austere environments. They typically are expected
It's
to
the Thunder
delay more
tank,
than
man.
stop an enemy advance
I'm
until
telling you.
larger, heavier systems can be brought to
Thank
bear
you,
to
Tech.
fix and finish the enemy.
Exactly.
With that
Wooks.
framework in
Listen,
mind, let's talk.
tactically speaking, Wooks, you're absolutely correct. It is a pretty death trap, okay? I mean, like, you are going to have a pair of balls to climb in this thing because it's probably going to go kapopper right away, okay? But it's got a big kapopper on it, and watch out for its kapopper. It's nimble. It's the Thunder Tank, man. It is. Do I have to play the song again, Wooks? It's the Thunder Tank. Was the Thunder Tanks a giant Abrams? No. The Thunder Tank was nimble. It was a nimble thing. The Thunder Tank took a lot of damage. Sometimes the Thunder Tank in an episode, it was on its side. And when the Panther, then Panther always had to deal with it. Panther was the shit, man. He had to deal with it. He was the mechanic. He didn't want to have to deal with the Thunder Tank going under all the time. But it did. It went under all the time. But why did those cats drive that tank? Exactly, Trip Owl. Exactly. And that is why I am resting my case with those words, my very own.
Talk about the dimensions and weight for the U.S.'s newest vehicle, the Griffin II, which should go into production over the next 5 years. Length is about 9 meters, including the gun, which is of course important, which is why the Nova's gun retracts. The hull is 6 meters long, the width is about 2.7 meters, and the height is 2.3 meters. And its weight is about 34.5 tons, which is quite light. It also has a nice 105mm rifled cannon main gun. Now, there are not many light tanks out there in the world at present, but I'll just say that China has also developed the Type 15 for their army.
You see
And the
javelins?
dimensions are actually very similar to what the United States.
You see the javelins hitting those Russian tanks, man. You see those javelins just smacking those Russian tanks left and right, and Russians like getting out of those tanks, and they're like, man, screw this. Tanks are so 1923, man. Tanks are getting pecked off left and right by these javelin missiles, man. I've been watching a lot of footage lately of that, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I hate to say it, but man, tanks might be a thing of the past. Like, it might be like we might be looking at history in the making right now, man. These javelin missiles, they just game over. It's game over, man. Got one infantry unit with a javelin in there. Thing goes straight up, comes straight down, pop. Explosion, done. Dude, every tank right now is a pretty death trap. Every single tank out there right now, Wook Street, is a death trap right now with those javelin missiles. It's ridiculous.
Is fielding. Alright, so with this core bit of information, let's start talking about the Storm.
Probably not the
CIG
Abrams.
bills the Storm as the unstoppable force of nature.
I wouldn't want to
The
be
top
sitting in
card
it
on
when
the
I got
website
hit with
tells
one, though.
us
You know what I'm saying, Trip?
Blitz overcrowded battlefields
Look at this beauty.
and wipe out enemy artillery.
Looks so sexy.
The original Storm solo tank was a revelation back in 2606,
Ooh, Attira's
turning the
getting
tides of
into this.
countless conflicts in the Second Tavaran War.
Oh.
Now, in
Lord.
2953, Tumbril Land Systems is revolutionizing battlefield dominance and
I like what
harnessing
he's
the
doing
force of the unstoppable Squall once more. Faster, stronger, and more impactful than ever.
I'm feeling
the
good.
reimagined Storm is
He's going
a
to
true
totally trash it
force
after
of
this, though.
nature.
I feel the tear's going to
All
trash
right,
it.
pretty good advertising.
Right. It got me
CIG
hyped.
describes
Tell me
this
the truth,
tank as an
Attira.
artillery hunter, meaning that it can quickly penetrate behind enemy lines in order to attack systems such as artillery in the rear area, what we today call the support area. An interesting concept, and I hope this
Or what
means
I call
that
my no-no
CIG
spot.
is getting
Yeah!
serious about putting indirect fires into the game, as they now
Sorry.
have a self-proclaimed counter. But now let's dig into this a bit. The spec sheet calls this tank a light.
Oh, Retro became a patron. What is going on, Retro? Thank you, and welcome to the VIP club, bro. Looks like he might be a Pepe's pal or a Felix's friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He completely went to Caprio. I love when people go to Caprio.
Now, I disagree, but we'll get to that a bit later. It is a single-seat tank, which is going to be a lot of fun, I think. And they
Yes,
said in the
yes.
ISC that it will feel like you are being swallowed when you get into this thing.
Shit.
Now, the actual brochure
I might get turned on by
slash the
that.
site, right, doesn't give us much more than the dimensions and weapon. So let's hit that real quick. 3.6 meters in height.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
10.5 meters long, so only 1.5 meters longer than an actual light tank.
Thunder Tonk.
Okay. 7.5 meters wide. Holy
That's
crap.
right.
And we also get a bespoke S3 repeater for the main weapon. Okay. So compared to the Nova, the Storm is shorter in both height and length, which is great. But it is 0.5 meter wider. So immediately I
hitbox.
see issues with transportability and deployability. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But
let's dig into the
listen,
spec sheet.
listen. For as wide as it is, I know Attira's not talking about this at all, but I'm just thinking about the overall hitbox on this thing. And while it's wider, it is awfully, in the vertical sense, snug to the ground. And, you know, like, when I'm looking at the design of this, man, it's going to be harder to hit if you're a ground vehicle. If you're a tank and you're going after this thing, it's going to be a little bit harder to hit because it's not as tall, my opinion, but it's wider. So from the air, bam, this thing's going to get knocked pretty hard from vehicles in the air. So, see, now I'm starting to think about the tactical side of things, Wooks. You see what I'm saying? Like now I'm getting it. Now I'm feeling it. You know, it's still cool as shit. It's still like, look at all these compartments. The thing goddamn swallows you. Gotta have Christy talk to this thing.
It has 2 size 1 fuel tanks, which is pretty interesting. I don't have the spec sheet for the Nova to say if that's more or less, but I'm going to assume less because as I
know
look
that
at
was
the
lewd. That was
Nova
very
store
lewd.
page,
That was
it has quite
very
a few
lewd.
backup components in it that the Storm
I'm
does
sorry,
not.
Pepe.
And
I'm
I
sorry.
think that is certainly appropriate. Life support, power plant, coolers, batteries, and that's new. Computers and radar
After
are all
party.
size 0. And there is only 1 per vehicle, which again is very appropriate for the idea of a light tank. Not a lot of redundancies. So I think that's right on point. So all in all, when we look at the spec sheet, it is less capable than a Nova, as it should be, with a smaller crew requirement, as it should be,
Right.
and I'll say a slightly less deployability issue, which is as it should be, but it could be way, way better.
How?
Now, we haven't talked design yet, and I'll say that I like it.
I like
it takes a
Attira's
lot of
approach.
inspiration from anime and apparently Batman. But you know what?
Thundercats.
It's awesome to look at. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I do, however, have a couple of concerns
These people
on
don't
performance, which
understand.
I think you can probably already guess. We already touched on this a bit, but transportability, deployability is still a real issue.
Don't give that
for the
idea.
Storm.
Don't give
And as
that
I look
idea
at
to
the
morph
model,
their fingers.
I see all kinds of extra shape language that is unnecessary that could have helped to reduce the width. I think our only hope here is that this thing fits in a Valkyrie so that we do not have to rely on the C2, M2, A2 pirates in the verse to move
I smell
these things
redesign
around.
on
So
width.
to kind of highlight my point, I just want to pop a couple of graphics up that I found in about 30 seconds
I love
of
Attira.
searching on the
I
internet.
love Attira.
You can see here German tanks of World War II. Germany is a great example in this case
Yeah.
because they manufactured so many different
Yeah.
types of tanks
Yeah,
during
man.
the war.
Crazy.
You can see the size difference of the tanks as compared to the little human outline. Now, I know that CIG makes all of their vehicles a bit bigger than real life, but proportionally, they need to stay about the same as some of these graphics depict.
I would agree with
and I'll
that
keep
sketch,
saying.
and I think because of the way
Armored
it's
combat
designed,
vehicles
it almost
that are small enough
should.
to fit in a Connie. That would be a good mark on the wall for light combat vehicles, whether they be a tank, infantry fighting vehicle, mortar carrier, or a recon vehicle. Now, for my second critique, I'll just say that the Storm is a little bit undergunned, even for a light tank. Both the new US light tank and the Chinese Type 15 have a 105mm cannon. The M1A2 main battle tank has a 120mm main gun.
Okay, you know how I view this, and taking the design out of the equation, I just as a unit on the ground. If I was playing an RTS game, this would be a Humvee. This would be a Humvee on steroids. This would be like an upgraded Humvee with a small cannon on it, and I would crank these motherfuckers out at the beginning of the game to scout out the map. And that's how you play this game. Can I get an amen on that? Because I think that was pretty accurate.
Can I get an amen?
And I'm fine with that, because that's all this should be. Like, essentially, it shouldn't be any bit more than that. And I think that it's going to serve that kind of function very well. A kind of a light scout attack. You're not supposed to be using this necessarily super offensively. You're going out in small 2s and 3s and little squads of these to roam and to look at the area. And if you hit something that you can handle, you take it out. And if you hit something you can't, you fire while backing the fuck off and getting back to your fleet that you can say, hey, this is what the plan is, and then bring the toxin. This is a type of, right. This is the type of like a light scout. It's a Humvee. It's a Humvee on steroids. It's a Humvee on steroids in any RTS game I've ever played.
That's not a big difference really when it comes down to it. The weapon we have been provided with, the size 3 repeater, is more in line with an infantry fighting vehicle with regard to both size and functionality. Now, John Crew did say in the most recent ISC that it is a double barrel size 3 cannon, but for now we'll follow the spec sheet that calls it a repeater. So now that I've offered my critique, how would I fix it? Well, I gotta say, I wouldn't actually change much. It's an awesome design that will be fun to play. I would really only do 2 things. First, recategorize.
Tell us what
the
you really
storm.
think, Wooks.
Call it a medium tank. Just swallow your pride and do it. It's more or less sized as a medium tank, especially when you take into account the width. Second, upgun this bad boy to a size 4 energy cannon. I know that in the recent ISC, Tom Hutton offered his opinion that you don't always need a large cannon for every problem, and I won't argue here that he's wrong in concept. All I'll say is that tanks, including light tanks, most often have a larger single-round cannon as their main gun, not belt or clip-fed autoguns. And so I think CIG should adjust to fit that mold, and then give us a sexy repeater for an appropriately sized infantry fighting vehicle in the future. And that's it. That's really it. The Storm looks amazing, and I imagine once we have it in game, it will quite literally drive circles around the Nova and the Atlas chassis vehicles, as it should. Make those 2 little tweaks, CIG, and I think you would have a nearly perfect little tank here. So then the question remains, will I buy it? Well, I'm not sure. I'm waiting on the Q&A to see if they will answer the question.
I get real,
of,
yeah.
will it
I always
fit
take
in
my
Valve?
time if it's a
If
concept.
so, I'll probably pick one up because I do think this will be a fun ground vehicle. But if not,
I've seen too many
likely
changes
won't.
over the years as a
And that's
veteran
it.
to really hop
I
on
hope
concepts.
you enjoyed this look at the Storm and light tanks in general. As you can imagine, the Storm sparked a lot of conversation in ammo, and Salty Cactus started playing around in Midjourney to find a version of a light tank that he likes. So here that is. Also this, he likes artillery. And with that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Come check out Ammo if you're looking to play some Star Citizen, and I'll see you in the next one.
And just to reiterate, this is what it's from. This is the design right here. There we go. That was it. That was it. Right here. Right here. And glorious breakthrough. Can we have a slow-mo on that, please, Pepe? Can we just slow-mo it so everybody understands what this design is from and why I love it so much? 3 frames a second. And here we go. Okay, and to the next one, Pepe.